This is why I'm raving mad. And I've been talking about this for a month. Reef's been laughing about this for a month.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Man, if these guys are not, for one thing, they're certainly predictable. Okay, so by the way, who is this? This is Shawn Fein. He is the president of the United Auto Workers, or the UAW. Shawn Fein. Wow. What is going on with the UAW? Well, first thing is, as you saw in my stream title, maybe, or somewhere in the description, corporate media is completely lying, bamboozled, disillusioned, selling a narrative, and they're desperate to sell a win. So, thankfully, there are a few excellent publications that are willing to be brave enough to challenge the unions, because they certainly need to be. And that's the union heads, not the rank and file workers, because the rank and file workers voted for 97%. We're going to talk about this. They voted 97% to authorize a strike. So we're going to go back to 1st August 23rd. This is before the strike action happens. This is before the workers even vote on whether they're going to authorize a strike. And this is someone at Socialist Alternative that is begging the UAW members to vote for a full strike and for leadership to go further than the UPS leadership. Okay, and I'm not going to read all of this because I have a bunch of slides here that I've prepared, but I've set this up because I really think that everybody needs to take a closer look at what's going on here. And we see the auto workers are actually being screwed over by leadership, whether it's being sold or not. Let's look at why, and I'm going to make the case here. So they're saying here that Shawn Fein, and we're going to let Reef take over here a little bit because I've been doing nonstop talking for 12 minutes or so. But like the Teamsters leadership, I'm going to read this part. UAW also has new leadership elected on a reform program. And again, UAW's new reformer president, Shawn Fein, is promising to take a more fighting rank and file approach and strategy to the big three contract campaigns. Again, this is before the strike, which happened on September 14th. And I've got a timeline down later on. Reef, tell me about reformists and about unions.
Well, I've been saying it for a while that unions are reformist in nature. They're not there to revamp the entire system. They're there to fix what's there, right? Like it's still, they want to be a part of the capitalist system. So, it's supposedly there to make that better and to help you fight against the bourgeois in that way. But, it's not really getting rid of the whole kit and caboodle, right? Like, we're not even going for cooperative in this case.
Nope.
So, you're just trying to make it, you got to paint it better. Like, that's pretty much it. Fence is rotten, but some paint will help it,
Right. So, but here, he talked about expressing readiness to shut down factories at all three auto manufacturers, with strikes across all three. That would include some 150,000 auto workers. That's what we've been talking about, 150,000 auto workers. All right. Despite reformers being elected to union leadership at two of the biggest industrial unions in the U.S., the Teamsters, of course, had the opportunity, and we lamented and went crazy on that one too, to further victories by struggling together with the UAW as a source of inspiration for the broader labor movement, and working people everywhere. The decision by O'Brien and Teamster leadership to agree to a TA that's acceptable to UPS without escalating the struggle by taking the strike action they said they were preparing for acts as a huge break on the labor movement and will impact the potential for a UAW strike. Any potential for a UAW strike at the Big Three would be much more likely if auto workers were getting inspiration from existing picket lines instead of Teamsters at UPS. Now, as it turned out, that wasn't the truth, but that was their prediction. What could have been two industrial unions representing a huge share of the U.S. economy, right? Striking within a month of each other. Could you imagine UPS and UAW the Teamsters and UAW striking simultaneously.
I could whisper of a dream.
Right? Well, that's basically what they're trying to say. That could you have whispered of a dream? It could have dramatically increased the potential for building a more fighting labor movement that could have motivated unorganized workers across the country to join unions. Now, this is the only time I'm really going to talk about electric vehicles, and electric vehicles are certainly part of the subject and what's going on here at the union. I think we're going to talk about it one more time, but
I saw a thing recently about I forget which electric vehicle company, but they're the ones making like the batteries and frames for it.
Yes.
Like a factory that's doing that here, and they literally had to add a coal power plant to power the damn thing.
I think that's in Ohio.
Right. Like what? How to make that make sense? You know?
Well,
like
coal. They can get coal easily to
clean coal. Damn, I missed.
It's clean,
it's clean
washed coal.
Clean. It's clean.
It's clean. Well, they take it out and they wash it, and yes,
yeah, right.
Didn't W say something like that? So, right.
Yeah.
So EVs and the UAW's bold contract demands, and this is what's going on here, is that part of what's playing out is that the transition to electric vehicles, which is being precipitated also politically by the Biden administration, has presented challenges for the UAW, and EVs are increasingly becoming a main feature in contract negotiations. Why? Because the big three have invested billions and billions in new technologies and battery plants. We have to get that on the soundboard. Some kind of billions other than $1 million.
Come on, man.
Thank you. Right? Despite not yet making any profits from EVs, the company coffers are safe because they're more profitable now than at any time since the Great Recession of 2008. I'm going to stop and I'm going to repeat that line because it's really important. The big three are more profitable now than at any time since the Great Recession of 2008. Over the last 10 years.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, thanks. Well, look. Over the last 10 years, GM and Ford have typically made a profit of $7 to $11 billion per year in North America. Stellantis, who's the smallest of the three, usually has earned somewhat less, but has already profited $12 billion in the first half of this year.
Jesus. Right.
Which is a 37% increase over last year, and the equivalent of what the other big three usually make in a full year. So
the money is there.
Yes, I know, Greta. Yes. UAW Reform Caucus. So this is how Sean basically got elected. So when Sean won the UAW presidency, he ran as part of a reformer slate called UAW Members United, and all 7 of the slate's candidates won their leadership elections. They were backed by Unite All Workers for Democracy, which is another group, a reform caucus, of which he's a member. And the slogan for that reformer slate that they ran on was no corruption, no concessions, no tears. So they're hopeful that this could indeed be a breakthrough for the UAW to rise again. But here's what they should do. They should escalate their contract struggle with the big three, prepare to go further than the Teamsters did with UPS, which they have. The UAW needs to seriously prepare for a strike, which they kind of did, but they included organizing practice pickets. I didn't hear about them doing that. They might have, like the Teamsters did. Teamsters leadership talked a big game about striking, but ended up agreeing to a TA that paled in comparison to what could have been won with a strike. That's an opinion, and I agree with that opinion. A lot of people will disagree, but they had nothing to lose. They had already agreed. I mean, the UPS, with 5 days out, had already agreed to this. Right. If you continued to say no, maybe they would have agreed to more. But they took the first deal that was offered to them.
Huh? As like every union has been doing.
Dude. The UAW should not make the same mistake and instead be prepared to actually go through with a nationwide strike with pickets at every big three factory. Solidarity. This was again August 23rd. Now what happens?
Like WGA, first deal they take.
I'm going to bring you right up to what happened on Friday. UAW escalated their strike action against Ford and GM, but spared Stellantis this week. They went on strike on the evening of September 14th into 15th. Hambo and I actually were recording live. We're recording for Nobody Wants to Work Anymore And we did a whole segment, and I went crazy on UAW during that, and definitely, by all means, go watch that on INN. But do it after this show. So what's going to happen is that the union will walk out at Ford Assembly, Chicago, and Lansing Data. These are parts and assembly plants throwing a strike from 17,000 to 25,000 out of 146,000 potential workers at the big three.
Where's Ford Assembly, Chicago? Do you know? I mean, it's Chicago, but
I'm not.
You can get kid out there.
I'm not sure exactly, no, but that's probably a good idea. So
I have some of those occasionally.
Some other some people were out and interviewing Sean Fain, and he told Automotive News, which is the industry publication for the auto industry, the union would escalate strike action at Stellantis. Still at 10 a.m., they received an updated counterproposal, right? So the union then decided not to escalate against Stellantis this week. So are they not? Last week it was Ford. So last week he publicly declined to escalate against Ford, citing that they were progressing. However, this Friday he blasted Ford. We gave them a comprehensive proposal on Monday. Still haven't heard back. That's nice. Now, the morning after the strike, that again was the latest as to what's happening today. So I wanted to let everyone know kind of where we were before everything and where we are today. Now what happened in between? Because holy crap. So the night of the vote, I'm recording with Hambo, and the next morning I see Payday Report, and this had hit my inbox on Thursday night. Friday morning I put this tweet out. What's that?
I know it's not.
Go ahead.
But the UAW logo does look very similar to that Black Sun logo. Like, I mean, I know it's not that, but
it's a wheel, like, a spoke wheel and tire. It's
right. Yeah.
But
like,
I feel you, I guess.
If you squint a little bit, it's just, anyway, that's my brain caught that. Don't worry about it.
So I tweeted out, shout out to Mike, because Mike Elkington and Mike Elk over at Payday Report, he's out in Pittsburgh, great independent journalist who covers nothing but labor. That's all he covers is workers at the organizing and at the fighting management level for payday stuff, for fighting for better pay and better benefits. So, like I said, in case you missed it, UAW did not strike with all 150,000 members across the country last night. Leadership chickened out. They said the plants would shut down, no contract, yet most workers are on the job today. Shout out to Payday Report and Mike Elk for putting out the report that at 10 o'clock p.m., Sean Fayne went on a national call and told everyone that he was only going to authorize a strike right now at 3 non-strategic locations. So,
which that's like we're gonna strike some non-strategic targets. What?
Right.
What?
They're like parts plants. They're like parts plants that only make parts that deliver to dealerships, but don't impact the actual building of the cars that impacts the profitability of the OEMs, of the manufacturers.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's that too. So that's what Eric London over at World Socialist website had to say about it, which is that Sean Fain's expanded strikes are going to have zero. Now, remember, what happened also during this time is that the day of the strike, the 15th, bullshit union buddy, quote unquote union boss buddy, Bernie, usually when the strike's just about over, they send him in, or at least they send him in to try to coax and coach out a deal between everyone. He was obviously unsuccessful because the next week they escalated and nothing got solved. And we're still on strike today, but other things happen too. So first of all, the expanded strikes will also have
I am once again asking for your financial support.
Oh,
is that what he was doing?
Dude, stay away. Dude, keep him away. Keep him away from this whole thing, please. All right, I can't with this guy. So instead of calling assembly or component plants out, Fain and the UAW bureaucracy called plant parts distribution center workers at only GM and Stellantis out on strike. This again was last week. They didn't call Ford out, right? These centers called PDCs. This is important stuff. It's a little bit nitty gritty, but it's important. These
Personal
PDCs,
defense cannons.
right? No, they're parts delivery centers, are aftermarket facilities at the very end of the auto supply chain supplying dealerships. So the strike at PDCs, like I said, will have no impact on the Big Three's production, citing real progress with Ford. This was a week ago. Fayne also said there would be no strikes at Ford's PDC, so they had no impact there. Now, this week they had some, but this was last week. This is notable considering the Canadian union bureaucracy's last-minute agreement with Ford to prevent a strike north of the border. So Canada, they got on board with, that's Unifor or whatever. We're going to talk about that in a second. Workers have been given no information about the deal that they're being told to vote on this weekend in Canada. Oh, yeah, there was that too.
So blame Canada is what you're telling me.
Well, sort of, but no, blame the unions and union bosses in Canada, because union bosses here suck and are everywhere suck. So yes, you're certainly going to do that. You usually do. Well,
sorries.
No, don't be sorries. Hold them accountable.
Be sorries.
Fayne also, this is what I was talking about. Fayne also extended a friendly invitation to U.S. President Joseph Robinette Biden.
Oh, yep.
To visit a picket line.
And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Like Eric said on the 22nd, though this would be nothing but a stunt aimed at promoting illusions in the pro-corporate Democratic Party. Biden and Congress intervened last year to illegalize a potential railroad strike and force through a sellout contract that 100,000 railroad workers had previously rejected. We all covered that.
Are we going to get to the side-eye guy? Please tell me you have the side-eye guy.
I don't have the side-eye guy, but
you don't have the side-eye guy. That side-eye guy was best guy.
I lost this. Well, dude, I got a lot of stuff to cover. If I go every side-eye guy, we're gonna be here a long time. So
just go find the video of Biden talking. That should be a thing.
Not everyone's favorite World Socialist website reporter, Jerry White. Anger mounting against
Jerry Black,
as opposed to others, and we've got one from our favorite WSWS writer. I like Eric London. He's iffy, he's good on this stuff. He went after Sabi. We don't like that, but he's also done some great stuff. Anger mounting against Fayne's bogus strike policy as UAW prepares to announce a sellout deal with Ford. And this was Jerry White about 3-4 days ago, right?
Yeah.
So Jerry's saying that the efforts by UAW to keep 128,000 of its 146,000 working during its so-called stand-up strike, and I wanted to use that word, stand-up strike, which is a strategy that they claim that they're using, that auto workers used in the 1930s it's like kind of like the version of a wildcat strike at the plant level.
Yeah.
All right.
You're saying it's not like Seinfeld and Bill Hicks in a picket line. It's not a stand-up strike.
Well,
no.
or Jimmy Dore. Well, Jimmy Dore would visit a picket line, but stand-up strike.
Yeah.
He wouldn't visit a picket line to do gigs, I would guess. So stand-up strikes, I would say is probably.
Although with his back, he might sit down a lot during that, but it's okay.
But here's the thing. This is what we predicted would happen, would be resentment inside the factories that are not on strike, which is inside the non-striking factories. Anger is mounting over the increase in line speeds, unjust suspensions and firings of workers who have no protections under expired contracts, and the reduction of hours, particularly for temporary workers living on the edge of poverty. Now, temporary workers are still union members, and this is what's going on here. The struggle of auto workers is at a critical juncture. And Jerry White, don't always like him, but this is a good article here. Everything depends on rank and file workers taking the initiative and turning the UAW's phony stand-up strike into a real strike involving all 146,000 GM, Ford, and Stellantis workers. Workers in every non-striking factory should communicate with each other. That's what we've been talking about, is communication among the rank and file is so important. and raised a demand for the immediate convening of emergency local union membership meetings where workers can discuss and pass resolutions to call out all members in an industry-wide walkout. Like, that's important stuff. Yeah, let's do that. And they can do that, but they just need to organize outside of their union leadership, which I don't even know if they're allowed to do. And that's what he's suggesting. Now,
define allowed.
Well, as they would basically be thrown out as UAW members, forfeit their pensions, and a lot of other things as well, potentially.
Yeah.
Right? So, simple math, man. And this is what I wanted to put out there is, why didn't they put the full union membership out on strike? Why did they only strike at 3 plants? Well, part of it was, they're trying to make a deal and they're trying to slowly drip out. Their strategy, quote unquote, is a ruse, in my opinion. It's a cover for this. This is why they didn't go full strike. It's math. It's all about geometry, right? You got 150,000 members that are going to get $500 a week strike pay. You got $75 million a week, according to this. At $500 a week times 150,000 members is $75 million. I put it out on the calculator so everybody can see that I don't even have to do the math. The calculator did it. 75 million. You're looking at about 10 weeks that the union could strike at full membership. And leadership didn't want to risk management waiting them out.
They said how much they had recently, didn't they?
Well, I've got that later. So they initially, I thought it was 800 million. The truth is it's 825. And we're going to talk about the percentage and the number and the amount that's been spent so far. So, next. So, Left Voice, our friends over there, Indie Media Award honorees.
Let me fix. Hold on. Discord.
Okay. Left Voice. By the way, Indie Media Awards are coming back. We're going to release the 2022 edition, or 2022 edition was last year. 2023 edition will be released in the next couple of weeks. We've been working on the list. We've been working on the website. Thank you, sir. Working on the list, working on the website. Got a whole new list of, in addition to, not in replacement of. Left Voice is still one of the top outstanding outlets, and they will still be Indie Media Award honorees, as will Consortium News and all the other outlets. So, thank you. And because of that, Left Voice gets that nice little logo. So this is our friend Tatiana Cozzarelli over at Left Voice, who wrote the article that had the headline that I went, mwah, you're beautiful, my friend. Biden's picket line visit. And Biden did come out and accept Sean Fain's invitation to visit a picket line. And they called it a historic visit. The first time a president's ever visited a picket line. You know the thing. Oh, God damn it. Of course, it's historic for a sitting president to stand with striking workers. That's undeniable. But the lesson that Jacobin, who ended up publishing this fawning article about how he stands with workers now, that they want you and millions of ordinary people to take from this, is the wrong one. Biden is not on the side of workers any more than the kente cloth wearing Democrats were on the side of Black Lives Matter. Ooh, that's so good. I love that.
Come on, man.
So good. A few hours later, right after this whole shenanigans, Jacobin publishes this article entitled, "The Militancy of the UAW Strike Forced Joe Biden to Take a Side and Walk the Picket Line."
Whatever you say, Haas.
Jacobin's right that Biden's visit to the picket line, thank you, results from UAW strike strength.
Discord.
But Jacobin is dead wrong in its assessment that Biden is on the side of the working class. Of course they are. Shout out to the Snow Hambo, who may or may not currently be in chat. If he's not, shame on you. I'm sure the wife is, you're good. I'm just playing. Anyway, Snow Hambo, I hate this week already. Oh, yes, all the shit libs went crazy when Biden showed up. Oh, he's the union-friendly president.
Where's Side-Eye Guy? I'm gonna have to find Side-Eye Guy.
We gotta find Side-Eye Guy. Yeah, you're gonna have to send me Side-Eye Guy. Anyway, Biden's visit to the picket line is part of a project of aligning the working class with the Democratic Party in order to win the 2024 election, especially in the face of an erratic Trump who won a big enough sector of the industrial working class to help carry him to victory in 2016. And it's part of a project of projecting support for the working class in order to quell struggles and create national stability under the hegemony of the Democratic Party in order to continue its strategic competition with China. Okay. Slow. Biden and the establishment.
Yeah, it takes a second for Trump to come up.
Biden and the establishment.
China is
China.
Yeah, China. Thank you. Wow, that was outstanding timing.
I know, right?
Biden and the establishment and Tony Bobolinsky are terrified. No, not put. No,
I'm sorry. Who?
Tony Bobolinsky. What?
Tony Bobolewski?
Oh no. The Democrats. You know what? I don't want to get turned off on. Well, thank goodness we're live on Rockfin and Rumble because they may turn me off for saying that name. I don't know. So Biden and the establishment are terrified that this strike could unify the ranks of the working class. It could unify the ranks of the working class is what terrifies Biden and the establishment. Did you know that? And reinvigorate a labor movement. Yeah, thank you. And reinvigorate a labor movement that's been growing stronger since the Red State Revolt of 2018. Whatever. Okay, sure. Except that Red State Revolt disappeared in 2022. Anyway. Biden is giving handouts to companies in order to make this EV transition. $2 billion from the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. To be exact, I see Spooky here. And most new EV plants are in the right to work South, which is notoriously anti-union states that are in those states. So further, Elmo Musk's, fuck you Elmo, Tesla is strongly anti-union and is already dominant in EV production. Unionized Tesla, as Chris Legion, who got booted off Twitter with his original account, has been yelling.
Spoopy is here. Spoopy!
You call me Schmoopy.
In other words...
You call me Schmoopy!
You're Schmoopy.
You're Schmoopy.
You're Schmoopy.
You're Schmoopy! Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
Are you done? Are you done?
I mean, I might be. You know.
Anyway, yes, Elmo. Elmo is definitely, you can't take anyone seriously named Elmo. Just like you can't take anyone seriously named Booby. Yeah, he's running independent. Keep that going.
Stop insulting boobies like that.
In other words, the Biden agenda can hardly be described as on workers' side. Instead, it is anti-worker and pro-imperialist, giving lip service, making promises, and offering the workers only the most thinnest reforms. Yes. Now, if workers are to ensure that EV plants, the new EV plants, POW, are unionized and provide high wages and good working conditions, they'll have to fight for it. Except that what's been happening is that the automakers have been making joint ventures with other battery companies in order to produce the electric vehicle parts and components, and they're not unionized. So they're getting around the UAW with that. EV plants require less labor than those that produce gas-fueled trucks. That's actually a good thing, but this transition to EVs is not a good thing because they're going to be able to control you a whole lot easier with EVs. And we can talk about that another time, but the demand for 32 hours work for 40 hours pay will become increasingly essential to keep all workers hired and working as increasing numbers of plants are turned into EV facilities. Sure. This is what I agree the most with on Tatiana, was that we need independent working class politics. How about that? We don't talk about that here at I at all, right? Jacobin laments the de-alignment of the working class with the Democratic Party. He laments that. as Matt Karp says directly in the title of his Jacobin article, the alignment is real, we can help reverse it. This is the wrong approach for socialists. We should not work to reverse the de-alignment. Instead, we must strike while the iron is hot. While the two capitalist parties seek to align the working class behind them, the working class should build its own independent power, its own independent party. UAW President Fain is right in his statement against Trump. We can't keep electing billionaires and millionaires that don't have any understanding what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck and struggle to get by, expecting them to solve the problems of the working class. I think he literally took that from Bernie. This is as true for Biden as it is for Trump. It's true for for the Democrats and Republicans represent the capitalist class, or call it the owner class, because they own all the property. Now, World Socialist website, same day that Eric London published his article, when it got scooped that Joe Biden might visit a picket line, David North, who's I think the managing editor over at World Socialist website, he called out, middle-class journalists are of course impressed. Oh, I can't speak. But workers know that Biden is planning his tourist stop at the UAW picket line to bolster discredited union president Fein, lend credibility to his pathetic stay-on-the-job strike, and facilitate the sellout of the workers. Because we all know what's coming. At some point, they're going to sign a deal that's going to screw over most of the rank and file.
Speaking of which, I DM'd you.
Thank you. Now, I thought that this was actually the best of all of the articles covering the strike that happened on Friday. This is where Marcus Day, who I think is the best writer over at WSWS, UAW president again orders vast majority of Big Three auto workers to continue working 2 weeks after their contracts expired. Why? Why? Why are there so many? The bureaucracy is betraying the widespread desire among workers for an industry-wide strike to reverse decades of concessions. Acting on a strategy worked out in advance with management and the Biden administration, surprise, surprise, the UAW is seeking to placate workers with false promises of expanding the strike. This is intended to wear workers down and prepare the ground to announce contracts that will be completely in line with the company's demands for massive attacks on jobs and workers' living standards. Marcus knows what's about to happen, and he's warning us. But in contrast to his previous live streams, Fein did not even provide cursory summaries of what the companies are supposedly demanding, nor did he make any reference to specific wage increases, pensions, retiree health care, or shorter work weeks. No specifics. That's already starting to disappear from the table. Sorry?
Do you have a single for me? Or how do we miss that?
I believe.
Might not. Okay. Here, I can pull this up.
I believe I do.
If you put me on a single.
Bring it.
Look at Side-Eye Guy.
Oh, Side-Eye Guy. Yes. I was like, Side-Eye Guy? Side-Eye Guy.
Side-Eye Guy. That guy.
I love that guy.
And
Side-Eye
Biden
Guy.
at the UAW Picket.
Yes.
Look at Alex Knight's got the best clip of that. Is this guy?
Yeah. I think Lucy actually made that her profile pic, as did others.
Profile pic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
Dev's kiss on that.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Thank you. Thank you very much. That definitely needed to be included.
You're welcome.
So
yeah.
Throughout the entire time, that was Joe Biden's, by the way, 15-minute visit, of which he spoke for exactly 2. Showed up, did a little wave. It was like Queen Elizabeth showing up, or the Pope. It was like, oh, the Pope, the Pope, the Pope. Ah. And the corporate media and the progressive media, they wet their fucking pants, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They wet their pants.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Oh my God, he visited a picket line. Dude, I want to hear any conversation he had with a worker. I want it recorded. I want to hear every single word that mumbled out of that clown's mouth. I'm sorry. They wouldn't let him get anywhere near an actual worker because he would be a clown show embarrassment in anything the man said. Oh, you're on strike. Huh, you're building the cars, man. That's great. Like, who knew where he would go? And that's why they kept him on. And he still can't follow the script. It's a
Colin in the chat. Historic, y'all.
It's historic, y'all. It's historic. Ugh. I swear, just and nobody
So funny.
nobody talking about it like this except for us and a couple other people, but mostly it's wow, Biden went to the picket line.
Wow.
Isn't that so wow.
Wow.
Thank you. But like I said, throughout the entire contract negotiation process, the UAW has kept workers completely in the dark on the concrete deals of what they've agreed to with companies, including the corporation's demands for huge job cuts in relation to the transition to electric vehicles. They are looking for cuts. Incredible. After they've already made billions of dollars a year, $100 billion in profit over a decade. And the clearest indication that UAW apparatus is preparing a complete sellout, Fein again praised Biden's trip to the picket lines last week, saying, "This week we were joined on the picket line by none other than the President of the United States. It was a historic day," as Colin said. Historic, y'all. Historic, y'all.
Historic.
All right.
It's historic.
In fact, Biden's visit to the picket lines, during which he spoke for just 87 seconds, was aimed primarily at bolstering Fein and the UAW bureaucracy and ensuring that it is able to keep workers' opposition under control. Bernie wasn't enough, so they sent the old fucker in. Ominously,
Because they haven't sent Obama a comfortable shoe yet.
well, he doesn't go out to the comfortable shoes to the picket lines. He only says he will.
Yeah, but they can send his shoes.
I'll put on my walking shoes.
At least.
I need that too. Ominously, Fein made repeated references to the GM Willow Run Center that Biden visited and other auto plants as arsenals of democracy, referring to the conversion of automotive factories to military production during World War II. Again,
Oh my God, he's trying to.
the minute he goes off the script, in the present, Washington, of course, is rapidly escalating its war against Russia in Ukraine.
And I really like that Rosie Riveter lady.
Pouring tens
She was a big improvement.
Pouring tens of billions in military equipment into the country, we know. Following the failure of the so-called Ukrainian spring offensive, there have been growing calls for boots on the ground by the corporate media. Mm-hmm.
And someone's going to make those boots.
So, this is the timeline, the by the numbers that I put out, that I put together based on what we've already seen here. August 28th, they vote 97% of the union. They're deciding, okay, we're going to strike. We're down. Strike. If they don't give us what we want, 32-hour weeks, no two-tier pay, all the other things that we're asking for, we're going out.
Yep.
Midnight or 10 p.m. Eastern, September 14th, UAW announces 3 parts plants on strike, total of 13,000 workers, one at each manufacturer. That to me also, again, where's Colin? It's historic, y'all. They're putting a narrative together because what was
Catch me outside. How about that?
historic strike language was thrown around due to all 3 domestic OEMs getting hit simultaneously, but it was one non-strategic plant per manufacturer that had 0 impact on profitability.
So fucking funny, dude.
Oh, it's not
Like
funny at all.
that's what's it's like I can just imagine like the war room, right? Where it's like now General, we have these very important areas here. No. Move everything away from those. Go to the non-strategic. Like like that should be our first order of business.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Like
Yes.
not one, like pick one of them.
Well, that's what
Like
they've
one
always.
of the strategics.
Well, traditionally,
Pick like one important thing.
the union has selected one of the manufacturers and threatened to strike and shut them down completely, and they had the total amount of power to do that. Now, I think what happened here was they bit off a little more than they could chew in offering this historic strike. So they say we're going to strike with everyone. They strike with 13,000. After a week, they strike another 5,000 workers. Only at GM and Stellantis, like we said. So now you're at 18,000 workers. All right. Then this Friday, they decide still they're not getting the traction they want. GM's not coming to the table. Stellantis put something out, and that hasn't progressed the way they want. So but they think that maybe it will. So they didn't strike Stellantis this week. So Ford, we thought we were close. Now we're not close. So now we're hitting Ford again. But still, it's only parts distribution centers. Only 25,000 out of 146,000 workers. So let's do some math here, folks. We're gonna go to math class. All
non-strategic.
Let's remember one thing, and Reef asked earlier, how much is in that strike fund? Because I Googled it. Fuck you, Google, but I Googled it 2 days ago, which according to analysts at Evercore ISI represents 12 weeks of strike fund worth at $825 million. Now, on top of the fact that not every UAW worker is an auto worker, so they don't even really fully have access to the $825 million, and nobody's talked about that because you've got airline people, you've got plenty of other UAW members that are not auto plant workers that work for the three manufacturers.
Are places like the foreign places that have stuff here, like Mitsubishi, I think, right, has stuff?
Plenty of manufacturers have plants here, but most of them are in right-to-work states and non-union. Toyota's in Kentucky. Yep. Nissan is in Tennessee. BMW's in South Carolina. Tesla moved from California, a union state, to Texas, a right-to-work state. You've got manufacturers that are moving from union to right-to-work states because it's better for the capitalists. We know why. So here's where we're going to go to math class. Damn it. God damn it, Bobby.
Janet.
Damn it, Bobby.
I got to get that on the soundboard, too. Dang it, Bobby.
Total strike fund, $825 million. First week, 13,000 workers, $500 a week. That's $6.5 million for those who are counting at home. Week 2, they go up to 18,000 workers. That's another $9 million for that week. This week, we're at 25,000 workers. We're at $12.5 million. People are going to call him brilliant because he's only spent so far $28 million of the $825 million, which
25
to me,
million.
28 million. 16, 6 and 9, 15.5 and 12.5 is 28 million, which is 3.3% of the 825 million. Let me repeat that. They've been on strike for 2.5 weeks, and he's spent 3.3% of their strike fund. Yep. And there's 121,000 workers still on the job under contract, not working without contracts, that are randomly being fired here and there. And I couldn't cover everything with this story, though I really wanted to. There's a lot more. There's Pinkertons that are coming in and physically hitting and hurting the workers from what we are hearing. We are hearing about corporate violence against striking workers happening. That somewhere in Michigan, somebody ran over a worker with a truck or with a car.
When you saw the scabs.
Right. There is a lot more to this story than we were even able to cover in the 45 minutes that we've been talking about it, or so. Please continue to look up
geometry.
I'm going to put all the links to all the articles, and we pulled from like 10 different articles in this segment. Look at all these publications. Support these people that actually are in support of workers, because there are so few publications. Breaking Points wetting their pants. TYT wetting their pants. All these clowns. The Vanguard. Oh my God. Thought that what we were talking about here and why the actual workers are being screwed. What do they know about labor? Dude.
It is Gavin's special living wish to be roasted by his favorite comedians.
Dude. Who? Yeah, exactly. So, well, he got that. Let's see their reaction to what serves as Vanguard, and then we'll talk to those.
Can you
clowns.
stop embarrassing yourself?
Oh, get him off too. He's even worse. He also wet his pants. He wet his pants over Joe Biden went to a pit. Oh my God. He went to a picket line. Oh my.
Ask them.
Yeah. They're all
Ask them.
clowns. Oh my God. I'm so embarrassed I even like these idiots. Ever. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to
Get
whoever.
serious.
These people. Who are these people? Hey guys, we got a merch store. IndependentLeft.shop. We also have INNmerch.com. I got to get that up there somewhere. INNmerch.com will get you to this store, as well as to the INN store and to the Big Mad Crab store. Buy some merch from Big Mad Crab and support our thumbnail guy and our creative director, Big Mad Crab.